customer service with DART. And that presentation was made at the board meeting, and Elizabeth and Dave Stanton came and spoke at the board meeting and spoke well of Fair Ride there. And I think the board very much liked seeing a nice positive tone to things, and that's certainly a good story.
Thank you for doing that.
Thanks so much. Thanks for the check.
The check. Wait a minute, how come he got?
What a way to start a fight.
Yeah, right, exactly. In terms of materials that were covered at the board meeting, there were, for example, we had talked about the Clearwater Beach Transit Center interlocal agreement, and we had approved from our group to recommend that to the board, and it was presented to the board, and the board did approve that, the site on Clearwater Beach. There was an audit presentation and acceptance, which was just really nice to hear that when they were talking about the audit process here within the finances of PSTA, that there were no findings, no difficulties, everything was being done well and correctly, and that always feels nice to know that the organization we're associated with is doing things correctly financially. And then the third thing that I found very interesting, Brad had his review, and he came through extremely well. And I got to say, I have so much admiration for him. I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but I always had, my reviews were fine, but the idea of having a review in front of a board and in front of a whole group of people and on TV, I was like, what? I mean, it takes a lot of guts to feel comfortable with that. And Brad handled it well, and he had a beautiful review. So that was, I think we were all nice to hear that. And then there were a number of other issues. In fact, they're going to be talking about the Central Avenue BRT today, and so that was something that they talked about, some of the details of that as well. That was, I think, the key points from anything else from the board that you can think of?
I think that pretty much covers it. Pretty well.
Okay. So, and then the next board meeting will be next week. All right, then the next item on our agenda, it wasn't put on here, but it will be put on routinely, and that is the Forward Pinellas report. Carson, do you have anything to say about the last Forward Pinellas meeting?
Let's see, we had a Walkwise presentation, talked about being a safe pedestrian and cyclist, and then we had Bonnie here at PSTA give us a nice presentation on the Central Avenue BRT, which was the hot topic of the meeting. So I'm looking forward to hearing even more about it today.
Oh, very good.
Could be your third time hearing it.
Oh, they had questions.
Okay. Our first action item then is to review the minutes from the last track meeting. And I know that there were two changes. There was one change to the attendance. Portia was apparently listed as having attended and was not here at the last meeting. And then the other point that was on the agenda, on the minutes that I saw, was there was not a comment made in the member comments about saving of the Largo shelters. Thank you. Yeah, that was a discussion that in fact Tanya had brought up last time. Are there any other changes to the minutes that anyone else noted, things that they saw? Then I would entertain getting a motion to approve the minutes with the amended minutes.
Can I make a motion?
Dave, second?
I'll second it.
Carson, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It's approved. The second action item now will be a presentation by Ashley on the 2-year strategic marketing plan and task force. Here you are, Ashley.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ashley. I am PSTA's media liaison in the marketing department, and I'm here to present to you an action item requesting approval to move forward with a 2-year integrated marketing campaign. So to begin, I'd like to first introduce my team. As you can see here, we have a small but mighty team. We have professionals working here in our marketing department that really do everything. We create everything that comes out of PSTA right here in-house. So we have our own graphic designers that we have here. We have our videographer. We have myself, who's working with the media. And we get pretty much everything that you see here done and created right here in-house. So what we do in the marketing department is we communicate PSTA's message, not only to the community, but to the writers and to our stakeholders. But we do that through relationships that we've built. So some of these type of relationships are earned media, which is working through with reporters and with our news outlets here to make sure that the news is telling the story that we want them to tell about all the great stuff we're doing here. We also maintain relationships digitally through our social platforms, like Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. And then we have our corporate partnerships where we're out there building relationships with businesses all across the county. So before we get a project to work on and market, we work with our planning department. So the planning department is out there listening to writers and learning about their needs. So we have town halls where we get information, we have chamber and neighborhood interactions, and we have events where our planning department is going out there listening to our writers and hearing what it is that they want and what they need. So once they've developed a program, they work with the marketing department and we tell the story. So when we tell stories, we want to make sure to do it through a storytelling lens. So that means we're not just using high-tech, detailed planning information. We are making it easy to understand, easy to consume for our writers and our community. So here's an example. So our planning department created CD Late Shift. So they created the program, they listened to the writers, they learned what the writers wanted, what they needed, kind of what you guys did with Juan, the how-to guide. So they took that information and brought it to us at the marketing department, and we decided to come up with palm cards. We had digital ads for Facebook, and we also had some stories in the media about this. So now it's a part of the bigger story. So for this 2-year campaign, we're going to continue to highlight and promote PSTA's innovative programs and partnerships. We're going to continue to have strong stories, have great information items. We're going to continue our video content. We're going to continue our proactive media. We're going to continue our digital and social media. But on top of that, we are now engaging FKQ. So FKQ is going to help us add to these, this marketing initiative, and have Elise now is going to tell you all about that.
Hi everyone, thank you for having me at the meeting today. My name is Elisa DiBernardo with FKQ Marketing. It was the marketing agency that you guys chose last year. So we're really happy to be working with the PSTA team, Ashley and Cindy and the whole crew that you saw on the earlier slide. So what they asked us to do is put together some thinking around a broader campaign, kind of a mass media campaign that would go beyond targeting our current writers. This would be something that would allow us to tell our great stories. As Ashley mentioned, we have a great opportunity right now because PSTA is actually seen as an innovator in public transit, and there's some shifting perceptions around transit. So a great opportunity for us to talk about all the wonderful programs that we've been launching. And this will also allow us to open up some of those mass communication channels for future communications that may be more transactional. So the campaign objective was quite simple. It's really built around awareness and perceptions. And I'll go ahead and read this. We want to build awareness for PSTA's innovative products and services designed to support economic vitality, thriving communities, and enhance the quality of life in the local community. And if some of that language is familiar, it's because it's coming right from your mission statement. So we really want to go core with what's our purpose and how do we communicate that to everyone here in Pinellas County. It's important that we understand current perceptions, and perceptions around public transit has actually been changing quite rapidly with the new millennial generation and their perceptions around getting from place to place. People are much more transportation agnostic. They care less about what the mode of transportation is. They want to know it's the quickest, easiest way to get them from A to B. Because of our on-demand culture, we see young riders sometimes struggle with the rigidity of bus schedules and times and places to be. And we've, of course, created some programs to assist with that. And we know that growth in the greater Tampa Bay region is causing us to work more regionally and partner with our friends across the bridge and help folks get from place to place for work and play. And then we also know that outside of our current riders, the residents here that support these programs through tax dollars really don't have much awareness about them, so we haven't spent much time talking about it. So here's what some tactical messaging could look like within the campaign. It really serves to support what the marketing team in-house is already doing. We would love to talk about Direct Connect. We could talk about Flamingo Fairs and or the Central BRT or what other programs might come up. The first thing that we want to do is really understand who our target audience is for this type of communication. So we build what we call an audience profiler, and we use research sources through Nielsen and Scarborough. We build this based on the person being a resident of Pinellas County. We want them to own so that we know that they're contributing in tax dollars to the property taxes. We also wanted them to be kind of business folks, leaders in the community. We want to make sure they're included in the target, as well as we want to make sure that these aren't current riders, because we're already speaking to them in a number of other ways. So this was an initiative made to broaden that target audience. So when we run all of this through our research tools, what we see is a consumer that skews a little bit female, 56%. The age sweet spot is around 45 to 54, which makes sense when you think about who lives in Pinellas County. These people do skew married, around 57%. They have children under 18 in the household. They skew Caucasian. And then there's also behavioral cues that we get through the research that helps us understand how best to reach them. So not only who they are, but where they are and what they're doing. So some of these bullets here talk about that. So what this results is in a media buying target. And our media buying target would be adults 25 to 54 with these behavioral skews. Then we also lean on our research and insights to understand what media are these people engaged with, because we want to be where they are. That's the whole kind of strategy with media, is be where the consumer is and be where they may be thinking about you and your product. So here is a paradigm kind of going from left to right, from really light media usage, not so surprising, newspapers, very light, and then we get into digital, which is very heavy. So when we look at all of this, really the most effective channels are going to pull people through what's considered a marketing funnel. First is building awareness, then we want them to be engaged and interested in the messages, and then pull them down to kind of favorability. In some instances, we're looking for them to purchase. In this instance, we want them to be aware and have a favorable perception of the programs. So cable TV becomes the most influential touch point. So when we look at this, we also look to flight media. A lot of times, digital media may have an always-on strategy, which we'll see here. But when you're looking at TV or cable, you can do a flighting strategy throughout the campaign. So we will have a flighting strategy that helps us launch the campaign with really high reach. And these would be the touch points that would be zoned cable. And this is for the purpose of also geo-targeting Pinellas County. We would look at out-of-home and using our beautiful buses as signage as well. And then targeted digital, and that would be kind of those banner ads that you see when you're, surfing the web. Then some of the flights would do what we call kind of a plus up, and it would push more impressions. And then, like I mentioned, a few of those would be always on. And so this is sample of how that timeline might look. It's important to note that we are looking to launch this campaign in January, and that would be kind of getting us out of the holiday time period of fourth quarter, where there's a lot of retail messages and people are shopping for the holiday, and then we can kind of start really clean in January. It's also a good media quarter. So this is a sample of how that flight aid might look. And then it's always important, metrics are very important in marketing. We know that marketing can be a very emotive task, but it's actually quite left-brained, and we want to make sure that we are moving the needle and we're accomplishing our goals. So for this campaign, we would want to do a pre and post survey, and again, because our goal is awareness and perception, there would be questions that will test people's awareness of some of the programs and their feelings and attitudes around those programs. Then after the campaign runs, we would run that survey again and see what metrics move. So the budget for the campaign was provided to us at $230,000, and this is how that would break out. You see that most of that goes into media, and then there would be some creative production to create a TV spot and some of the other digital materials that are needed. And I will give it back to Ashley.
So our next steps, FKQ and PSTA's marketing department, we would work together to create the content. So this is just kind of telling you the plan of what we would have, how we'd have the buses, we'd have the media buying, and when we would have that. So in August, we would get concept approval, so what exactly this is going to look and feel like, so that would come in August. And then we would start production in September and be ready to launch, like Elise said, after Christmas, so we don't get caught up in all the Christmas ads in January. So we are looking for recommended approval to move forward with this campaign for a budget not to exceed $230,000, and that would be scheduled in fiscal year 2018 out of our marketing budget. That's it.
Thank you very much. Does the committee have any questions? Yes. Please.
I like the part about targeting people that aren't already riding the buses, and educate them, teach them, show them, and that's what your big job is, show them, not just plead and beg. This is a really good idea. And you said something about there's a shift. People are starting to understand why those buses are valuable. And I'm excited. I want to get another college degree.
Anyone else? Any other questions? Thoughts?
I have more of a comment than a question, and it's just I see on this two-year plan for media, I noticed that there's no radio on there, and WMNF 88.5 Community Radio has been covering transit quite a bit today. Commissioner Long was on there, and also transit advocate from Hillsborough, Keith Thurman. So you can get on there for free too.
Sure.
So I would totally reach out to them. They're sympathetic, and I think there'd be people that you could reach out.
For sure, thank you. I'll take a look at that. Thank you.
Just to comment there, we did look at radio for our campaign. It's a great channel. The reason why we didn't choose it is because of the desire to only stay in Pinellas County, and radio would go across the entire Tampa Bay DMA, and so therefore it wouldn't be quite as efficient as the zone cable. And sometimes you can look at connected radio, which is more like Pandora, or streaming radio that allows you to get more targeted.
I was just curious about, I'm really interested in in the media part of it. And are you planning to do like television spots? 30 seconds, 60 seconds?
30s.
30 seconds.
30s. It might be a blend of 30s and 15s. We'd have to kind of get into the market and see. We do have a story to tell, which is why we liked TV, because it's a great storytelling channel. So we probably would want the 30 seconds to get you know, to be able to communicate the whole story.
Yeah.
Is it going to be kind of a broad focus, or would you at any point focus and highlight specific routes?
I think that, you know, we'll take guidance from the marketing team on the tactical aspects of the messaging. We want there to be an overarching kind of halo message that's consistent throughout all of the marketing pieces. And that way you get that kind of brand iconography growing in the marketplace. So when someone sees a piece of creative, they're like, oh, that's PSTA, and you get a much quicker read. However, within that template, we would want to talk about the tactical programs that we have going on. So let's talk about Direct Connect. Let's maybe talk about TD Late Shift. Yes, we can absolutely talk about those specific programs, and it was designed to do that.
I have a question. Is there an industry, I'm trying to think of the right word, but basically there are other markets where advertising campaigns have gotten people converted from, you know, having a good image of the public transportation system to becoming riders. And you know, we're not the first market where that's needed to happen. Have you looked at what has been done in other markets that are the real opportunities for converting people from having a positive image to then getting them to be a rider, having that message?
I mean, the objective for this campaign was a little bit different because it wasn't around increasing ridership. We would have probably included current riders or infrequent riders in the target audience. So we definitely talked about this with the team, and they wanted us to focus on those that we know are really not aware, and so that we haven't been targeting with other messages, and so therefore they wouldn't be riding. I think there may be a halo effect of converting some of those folks to riders, but it wasn't the intent of the campaign. It was more around awareness and perception. So you know what's going on in your community. You can feel good about what PSTA is doing in the community and feel good about where your tax dollars are going. And then I think secondarily, there absolutely could be a shift that makes people more interested in checking out.
In potentially riding, but it's not meant to drive ridership. Okay,
Yes,
yeah, because that's,
if that
I
makes
think we
sense.
all tend to think in terms of, well, if you're going to do advertising, it's going to try to convert some people to being on the buses, but okay, so it's a different focus.
That's what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
I didn't really look at this.
Yes, David.
I think you just answered my question. First off, great presentation, good information, great program. When we're talking about the target audience, you seem to pick two very particular things, and maybe it's that the objective is about diminishing opposition from current taxpayers, and that's why we're saying we want to focus on folks that own and are on an executive or mid-level white collar. I mean, those are not traditionally bus riders, but they are people that traditionally roll out on the street corners holding big red signs, you know, unfund the buses. I mean, it seems to be more about a campaign to show opponents of transit that it's a good place.
Yeah, we call it an informational campaign. So this is a campaign that we think around like PSAs, which are really just public service announcements. So it's a little more akin to that, where we're coming out and we're bringing information to the community so that they are aware of the innovative programs and they can kind of share the knowledge that everyone who's more involved in the organization already knows. You want to answer that?
Yeah, we want everyone in the community, riders and non-riders, to really see the value in this system.
Right.
And, you know, to be able to have that name recognition. Like, we see a bus go down the street and we all know all about PSTA, but to have even someone who's not a rider, to be able to see a bus go down the street and say, oh yeah, that's PSTA, yeah, they have Direct Connect, it's actually really cool, you want to check it out. Just so people have that familiarity. And, you know, we know that our riders, they love our system and they're very familiar with it, but we want everybody to know. We have people talking about us all across the country. We really do. We're very innovative in the partnerships that we've created. And, you know, I get calls from newspapers and reporters all over the country who want to know what we're doing. And so we have this great image across the country, but we want to make sure that image is also very positive right here at home. So we really want to make sure that this campaign reminds our entire community what we do here and how valuable this is for everybody. Hope that answered your question.
Yes.
did you have something you wanted to say?
Yeah, just maybe.
Yes,
I do recall those folks that stood on street corners, but the fact of the matter is that there are thousands of folks in Pinellas County that don't really have a negative view of public transportation or positive. It's like doesn't even come to mind.
Right.
And, I think the actual TV commercials have not been designed yet. And that's a key component. This is an action item today to help them start working on the magic of whatever they are going to come up with. It's going to be as iconic as the Coca-Cola ad, and it is going to, despite, as she calls it, the halo effect, get more people to ride, hopefully. And then we'll be able to come back to you. I'm hoping that we'll, by this fall, we'll have a sense of what the message is of this campaign, and then come back to the PSTA committees and to track and show you what we've come up with. But again, the idea, as Ashley was sort of saying and others, is target non-riders with a message of, even if you don't ride, public transit is a good thing to have in Pinellas County. And in this world of massive change to the way we move about and transportation change, where Uber and Lyft and autonomous vehicles and maybe Jetson's things, it's really good to have a transportation agency in our community that is looking to the forefront and being innovative and trying new things and trying to make things better for our community. With that as sort of the guidelines, we'll be back to you in 6 months and showing you what we've come up with.
Any other comments or questions from anyone?
I can't vote, but I wouldn't vote for this. I thought this was going to be about expanding ridership. This seems to me, demographics, these are voters. That's what this is, especially the thing about property owners. And I just, if you talked more about these things we're doing like Direct Connect and that are underutilized, that maybe I could support because they're underutilized and we need more riders here. But I just kind of see this is just, this was a politician, it's to get poll numbers up. And I don't think that's where we should be spending our money. So that's all I want to say.
Dave, did you have your hand up again?
I probably shouldn't ask this, but are we going to be allowed to give ideas for commercials?
Sure. Yeah.
Sure, you can give
I got about 30 of them in my head right now. And can I just say one other thing about the property owners, and that I'm a property owner. We have a house in Clearwater, and it has an assessed value a little over $110,000. And our annual tax for PSTA, are you ready for this? $55. That's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah.
Ridiculously
It's low.
Low. I didn't know how you were. I don't know how homeowners see it.
But I don't think they really look at it. I don't think they pull it out because I'm involved with this. I look at it,
But yeah, is there the whole question of there's some you don't think you think it's low because you also ride, but all the people who don't ride, it's the question of the issue of, well, I've already educated my kids. I don't want to pay to put kids to school. I don't want to pay for buses because I don't. And so the point, I guess, of
well, that's great. Enjoy your 2-hour stay out in the Howard Franklin at 5 o'clock. You don't want buses. That's what it's coming to.
I'm just curious as to the timing of the rollout, because when you are targeting taxpayers, the crib notices and taxes all come out in the fall, and like all the other property owners, you start looking at the itemization, and you look at it and say, well, why am I paying for this? Why am I paying for that? Why am I paying for the health department? You start to see all the itemized things. So if you're really trying to win over the taxpayers and convince them that it's a good thing to support, if it's an increase in your taxes that year for that or whatever, or convince the non-riders to ride, so that you would get a little bit more traction out of something that would be a little more timely in terms of taxes. I know taxes are being paid throughout, depending on when they choose to pay, but you get that notice, and you get to see the details of how much is going to this agency when you get that credit statement.
Yeah, I think the team had made an agreement that they wanted to wait until after the November vote time period as well. And then once we get into fourth quarter, we just have some media challenges with the holidays and people traveling. And so that is what led us to January time period.
Piggybacking off of what he's saying, is there anything like a penny for Pinellas vote coming up at the time when this is going on?
Well, and that will happen in November, I believe the 7th of November.
Of this year?
This year.
Okay.
Correct, and so, yeah, we're intentionally not trying to look political. That this campaign was more of a community kind of feel good and rally the community around all the great things we have going on, and not intended to influence any voting.
Yeah, I would say that we were aware of the penny for Pinellas, even though, of course, we're not involved,
Okay.
that is the county, but the general public has no idea, right, that who runs the buses or whatever, so we steered clear of that. And to the point, we really are not, but we were not trying to, we're trying to focus on non-riders that live in Pinellas County, not to justify the property tax or to have them go and run to look at their trim notice, which actually comes out in July or August. It was really a more global sense of just the value of public transit, not related to any kind of poll or anything anything like that. So I think the springtime, which is when this is really going to come out, when we have really high ridership for spring break and tourists in town, that they might see the commercials as well, but it's a good time for this.
I want to be such a cool transit system here that it's all over the internet and everybody wants to come to Florida, especially Pinellas County, because they've got really cool buses. We can go anywhere. I want it to go, what do you say, iconic? That's,
Just as long as they don't drive their car here.
and so we won't have any more red flag or red sign saying, I was in Italy and it was a bad scene. We don't want that.
Well, and all of our visitors from major cities are much more used to public transit, and have a much
Yes.
different
Right.
opinion of it than maybe some people
Right.
that grew up here.
Yeah, let me wrap up my thought now that we've kicked it around, is that a lot of folks have a visceral negative response to transit, which just surprised the hell out of me. And then there's this whole middle that have no opinion, and whether they're going to be riders or not. I mean, yeah, there should be some effort, maybe on the odd years, we go after ridership, but turning that, which is this huge ship, even 1%, 2%, 3%, to get people that are unexplainably angry about transit to just be indifferent to it, and to take those who are indifferent to it and make them have some kind of positive response. These guys they do know what they're doing. I think that actually is a really good goal.
I mean, and not to get too marketing technical,
Yeah,
but that empty space, if you call it the empty space in the mind, where I don't have a positive or negative, the slightest, unfortunate
Right.
incident or article that comes out can quickly skew them. When we can control a little bit more of that message and make sure that we're communicating, the great things that we have, it does ward against misinterpretation of events that could look negative that maybe they really aren't, and that sort of thing. So it does help us to maintain a positive perception, if the course changes for us in any way.
Oh, go ahead.
I think we've defined what the purpose or the goal of it is. How do you define and measure success?
So, and that was where we look for the shift in metrics as far as, well, let me take a step back. One, The survey that will go out will list a quick list of kind of 10 things that we want people to know about and how we want them to feel. And we'll see, are they answering yes, no, multiple choice? Are they choosing the answers that we feel that we want them to choose, if you will, if they weren't aware? And then after we run the campaign and during the campaign, all of the digital pieces will have metrics against it, because every time someone clicks on an ad, you can see that on the back end, and you can see where they're going and see which ads are getting clicked on, which is what we call engagement. I mean, someone's really interacting with the ad, they're paying attention. So when someone clicks on the ad, you know that you've made an impression on them because they've digested the message. And then they click on it, now you have what's called engagement, and they're interacting with maybe some additional content that you will have. So all of those actions will have metrics around it to see, are people interacting with the ad? Are we getting the number of impressions that we feel will create a shift in awareness? Then after all the campaign runs, we do that same survey again, and we can see people that were checking no, they didn't know, are now checking yes, that they do know. And that helps us measure whether or not it was a successful communication.
I had one other real quick thing that just to put in a little bit of a plug for the fact that this is the ridership group. I would be curious, in that whole picture of image of public transportation, image of PSTA, we have all gotten the stories of there's a bad image sometimes of riders as well. And we are an example of good riders, and I of course.
So we are in the video.
But we're engaged, and we're all very interested in making things better. At some point, I would love to see, where does ridership, where does image of riders fall into that whole equation as well? I want to be like that type of view.
No, that's a very insightful comment, and I think it's really important, and I'll take notes back to my team that we are depicting riders in any of the communication to make sure that we will depict them in a very positive way, specifically. So, yeah, that's great.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
This is an action item. We
I
have
move
to.
to recommend approval.
I'd like to second that. That's fantastic.
We have a second. Then I guess I should state it as the motion is to approve the recommended expenditure. Is that how it was?
Yes.
It's right here.
It's the 2-year strategic marketing plan and task order. Okay. All in favor of approval?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, the next item is an information item on the Central Avenue BRT. Now. Got it?
Yeah, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Bob Lasher, External Affairs Officer. Helping out Heather Sobush, who has been heavy on the campaign trail, so to speak, talking about different items. She needed a break from giving a presentation. And I wanted to get back out and do some. So I'm here today, and some of what you're going to see is actually different if you were at the board meeting than what we had at the board meetings. We've actually had some updates. This is an informational item. It's about what we're working on for this bus rapid transit project down along First Avenues North and South in St. Pete. These are all preliminary. We're in the draft stages. We're still working with our partners. So what you see up here may very well change. We want to keep you in the loop. The first part of the good news is that we are on track right now to get everything to the federal FTA with a small starts application by the end of August. And in fact, just yesterday we sent in the April report. So we're moving along very well. This, by the way, is the project you may have read about. It's the only one in the region that is in the federal pipeline for funding. I read that and said, you should ask for more. But just having a little fun. This is right now, what we're looking at, this is what we would prefer, this is a recommended. Don't hold us to this, because as I'm sure most of you know, there's some issues we're working on down on the beaches. These actually are some of the stops, not all the stops. There may be more, there may be fewer. We're taking a look at them. I learned some neat things in a meeting today about when we're doing the final design. There are things that you don't think about when you think of, all right, we put a stop right by the Traeger and Serrata, and they went down and looked at it and said, oh, there's a fire hydrant. Now what? We moved the stop, we worked with the city, and the fire hydrant. So the things like that, details are still to be worked out. What we're looking at now is when we're traveling north, or east and west on First Avenues, north and south, and I'm going to show you these. I'll take you through them. We are actually going to run on the left side of the road. Those are multi-lane roads, 3-lane roads. We're going to run on the left. We're going to have doors on the right side of the bus. And I'll have this illustrated for you, but we'll actually be pulling over. We'll have a little island. People will get off on the island, the bus goes, and then they cross into right there in the Central Avenue corridor, because that's the main draw, that Central Avenue corridor, where you have the businesses where people want to go. In some areas, of course, we can't do that, being Gulf Boulevard, Pasadena, and then once we get a little further to the east in downtown St. Pete, again, I'll show that to you, we're going to be just like the normal buses. One of the things you'll hear, they call them BAT lanes, Business Access Transit. We will have the buses running for some of this area in their own lane, but there are some places in the country where it's buses and nothing else, and that's caused a lot of issues. What the feds like to hear is this business access transit. So as the bus goes down, if a car needs to get in that lane and make a left turn, it can. If it can get in and out of business, it can go ahead and use that lane to do that. It's not exclusive. People are not going to get ticketed because they have to get in that lane to make a turn one way or the other, in and out. But you'll see BAT lanes, and moving forward, you'll hear them referred to. One of the other things we're working with the city of St. Pete on is signal priority. I want to take you through this just a little bit because it can get confusing. Signal priority, as we're looking at it, is something that, well, maybe as we come up to a street light, the bus lane gets the green light first. There's also another technological way you can do it with GPS locating as the bus is approaching. If the light is about to turn yellow, it can hold it and let the bus through. Now, there's another thing out there called preemption. And if any of you have been out at 34th Street trying to make a left turn on Omerton right out here, and all of a sudden the fire trucks come through, and you see the light change immediately. That's preemption. We're not doing that. Right? You can't do that. And in case you haven't noticed, by the way, that's like a 4-minute 37 light cycle. Every time those fire trucks come through, it gets to restart, so you get to sit there for another 4 minutes and 37 seconds. But I digress. But I wanted you to know there's some differences out there, and this is something that when I first got into transit, I was easily confused. I couldn't keep the two of them straight, so I want to talk a little about that. We're going to do the best we can to accommodate in the existing right-of-way. Some of that may involve relocating some of the bicycle lanes, maybe from First Avenues north and south onto Central Avenue, and that has actually gotten some support from the Bicycle Advisory Committee down in St. Pete. And we are developing this project to accommodate. We haven't decided anything yet, but we want to develop it so we can accommodate 60-foot articulated vehicles. Articulated are the ones that have the accordion-like thing in the middle, the connector. And that also will affect the routing, which you're going to see here. And since it's a nice day for the beach out today, let's start at the beaches. We'll take a look at the routing, because it's going to be slightly different than what we first saw. Coming off of Pasadena, it's going to come to 75th, but then it's going to head straight down, go to the Don Cesar, where we have a nice turnaround there. But you notice we are probably not going to be able to accommodate the loop up at 75th and Gulf, so we may need some extra stations right up in here because of the length of that bus. If we go with a 60-footer making that loop around. And fortunately down here, there's a lot more right-of-way. It's a lot easier for us to make several right-hand turns. Coming back, we've got a similar issue. For those of you, if you know what it's like when you come up north on Gulf Boulevard and then you get back up to where it meets with Pasadena right there, that is a nasty turn, especially for a 60-foot bus. It's tough for a 40-foot bus to make that turn and stay in the right-hand lane. So what they're looking at is using Blind Pass Road coming across Meeting and then back over back toward Pasadena. And taking a look, this is basically what we're looking at. You see the trade winds here. This is along Gulf Boulevard. It would be normally running pretty much like you see the Central Avenue trolley station over on either side. We wouldn't be doing any widening. We'd be in the mixed traffic. And really right now, I think the station areas they're looking at would be Serrano Trade Winds, Don Cesar, some by 75th and Gulf, so it's an easy transfer to the Suncoast Beach trolley. They need the Central Avenue trolley as well as perhaps the public beach access. And now moving a little further north and to the east, we'll come off of 75th Avenue to Pasadena. We'll go through Pasadena, mostly in mixed traffic, up to 1st Avenue South, where we start to head out back towards St. Petersburg. And again, on Pasadena, and there's some options there. In fact, the Florida Department of Transportation is doing a study right now in this area and these streets. And we're working with them, they're keeping us involved because we want to see what the different options are. We may be able to put a bat lane in there and then keep it so that we have a station and we can move a little faster than traffic. And maybe not, maybe we won't be, but we do have some nice options coming up there that we get to look at. And the station's near the hospital at Sunset Drive. Moving a little further to the east, again, Pasadena, 1st Avenue South. 1st Avenue, for the most part, this is where we start to run in the left lane again. I'll take you through, this is what I promised I was going to show you. As far as the left lane, here's 49th Street, 1st Avenue South. The bus will be in its back lane, moves over just a little bit, and so we'll be relocating some of those cycle lanes. We'll have an island right here, so we can have a bus that has the normal doors on the right side. People will get out, bus moves on, and boom, they're right there in the Central Avenue corridor. And these are still, as I said, these are flexible. When you do something like this, it's a lot of flexibility involved, a lot of variables, and it's kind of fun to watch. It's been very interesting. And as we get further to the east, you don't have quite as much right-of-way, but we also have to get the buses over the right side because we're making a loop to the south. And you don't want to have to bus, and most of you know this, or all riders, can't make that quick 3-lane jump. So we start to move over, but we also have a nice setup. Because right here at 8, you've got the Pinellas Trail here, got a median, so it'll be very easy to have that station there, have the bus get out, go right by it, people get out, and they're where they need to go. And I'll show you the loop, the downtown loop. Now, once we're in the right, this will start from 1st Avenue South over to 4th Street South. It comes down just by 6th Avenue South here, and USF is right here. So it's about half a block from the Student Center at USF. Goes back up 3rd Street, where it will meet up with some other routes we've got, you know, that busy Publix that we have, the transfer center there, all the way up to 1st Avenue North and then back out toward the beaches again. And that's the loop. We'll take a look at some of these. This is 4th Street South. This is the new complex, Beacon 430, being regular traffic. We just have the station there. Really no room for widening, so they just be advanced curbside stations. They'd be a little fancier. We want them to stand out, and then we still have to go through station design as well. On the south end of 6th Avenue, this one, and this is going to take a little extra work, but the city's eager to work, and they have been working with this huge USGS, United States Geological Survey. It's part of USF. It's also a historic building. It's a neat-looking old building. So we want to make sure anything we put in there fits in with that historical designation, and that everybody signs off on it, and that they're happy with it. Going back by, just by USF, when we get back, and going back up on 3rd, here's the station just south of Publix, where we can meet with some of our other routes. And then, of course, and I'll show you a little expanded view. Makes that loop, 4th, down to the college, up 3rd, and then back out 1st Avenue's north, and that completes our loop. 1st Avenue's north, it's very similar to south, and I'll take you through it again. Same thing. Once we get into 1st Avenue North, we're heading west. We'll be in that left lane, pulling over just out of the right of way with an island station so we can use the right side doors. And the right side doors, it will help cut costs of the bus. It also will help add some seats. If you put doors on the other side, taking out a lot of the seats. And it's a lot, you know, you have 2 more doors on either side for your mechanics to take care of as well. And let's see, as we go through 16th Street to 66th, similar. This would be an example. We put in that single priority or queue jump coming across, getting us through first. And in some of these areas, and we still have to figure these out, our normal buses can use these too. But also, as we're moving through, I mean, we're going to probably be putting some of the service, the heavy lifting is going to be done in this BRT. And we don't want something like the Route 18 going left, right, back and forth across. So most likely, it'll be fairly exclusive to the BRT on this side. And others, if they're there, will have to connect by crossing it. Now, this is not being done in a silo. We have been working regularly with, we've got the federal, or Florida, I keep saying federal, I'm sorry. Florida Department of Transportation fits into it too, actually, since they have the big wallet. Downtown Partnership, the city of St. Petersburg, other cities, a lot of people are working with us. And we're also doing this in conjunction with the Downtown Circulator Study. And you'll get notices coming up as we're going to have some workshops because we're going to do some more work on this. It's reimagining what the Looper does now. Here you see the current Looper route. Aptly named, isn't it? It's going all over. A couple of things we needed to do. We're going to get, and we already have, those of you who ride that Central Avenue trolley know it's packed. Same with the 18. Well, the BRT is going to have the same deal coming in. We need to get the people on those to the destinations or vice versa. Say down here, the Innovation District with all of the hospitals and with the university. We need to make that first mile, last mile a lot easier. So that's what this study is about. And right now, with a lot of the stakeholders in downtown, people we're working with, this is modeling out to be what would be the new route for the downtown Looper. It would probably have about 4 buses on it. 2 of them would be our new electric ones, and then 2 would be some type, or probably the current Looper routes. It's very similar, but it does take out some of the problem areas. And you know, I love the Dali, but if you've ever ridden that Looper to the Dali, it goes through the parking lot, under the garage by the Mahaffey and out. So when anything's going on at the Mahaffey, that changes the whole ballgame. Anything's going on downtown, of course, Grand Prix, it changes everything. So that's one of the reasons why a lot of the people we've worked with, and people who really know downtown, were saying, listen, we need to make some changes. But if you look at most of the destinations up here and the trip generators, most of them are within a block of this route, if not still on it. And there are some considerations we have to work with, because PSTA provides funding to the Looper. The city provides funding to the Looper. And by the way, the Looper is actually run by the Looper Group, which is part of the Downtown Partnership. But they also get money, I'm going to back it up, from some of these destinations where they stop right into pull right into the front door. And those are going to change. So what we're hoping to do, and what we have been doing right now, is working with the existing members who are contributing to the Looper, and then looking at some of the new ones who will be along these. And we'll have a lot of them staying, but we want to develop some new ones who might be able to contribute to the funding as well, because it's going to be a much more enhanced service. We are looking, this is kind of a national standard, but it's also what we've gotten from our studies. People are looking for something that's going to come every 10 to 15 minutes. If you're going to make it work right downtown, you all know this, you want it to come quickly. Most of the places around the country for something like this don't charge a fare. And then that has some issues, especially with some Northwest County voters if you want to go there. But on the other hand, we're also offering that free fare zone on the Central Avenue trolley right now. That's not the easiest thing for our drivers and a lot of things with the way we operate at PSTA. So if we can make that a regular fare and then move that subsidy onto that Looper group and make that free, now we've got a few things working that actually are going to be easier and make a whole lot of sense. So I kind of like that. I think that's kind of neat. And those of you who don't know me, I do ride. And I think this is neat being able to make it at least every 15 minutes. Like I said before, 4 buses. And I already talked about the front door service and getting some more of the subsidies. So that's where we are right now. Hoping to have these done sometime next year, getting them implemented. Because we've already started. It should be in final design this summer with the BRT and then the circulator, which will also serve the pier. We want to make sure that we have people make it easy access to get in and out of the new pier, if that's Joel. Questions? Any discussion? Yes, sir.
Can these big buses with the recording in the middle fit into Grand Central Station?
No.
I don't think so. I think they're going to be on the outside.
So are they gonna service Grand Central, or are they just gonna bypass it?
No,
They'll stop there. Okay.
There'll be a stop on First Avenue South, right there.
Yeah.
Okay. And for First Avenue North, I mean, it's just, you know,
2 blocks
just the
away.
Walmart there. It's not bad.
Yeah, right, yeah, right.
I live right there, so I mean, that's my home.
Oh, it
The
is?
bus is gonna pass right in front of my house. It's great.
And when you use Grand Central, go through there, you can see our newer buses, we've got 40-footers. Take a look at what it's like going through there with a 40-footer. That's a good question,
It's
you're right.
that 52 that has it in the morning. It's scary.
Yeah, well, we run the 40-footers on the 52 because of it's pretty crowded. Yeah, good question.
I also like the idea of moving the subsidy to the looper, because it's a pain if you're downtown and I don't carry cash, but I can't use my PSTA card to ride the looper if I just want to go somewhere.
Yeah.
It would really help.
And it'll be easier for the drivers too, because when we train new drivers on Central Avenue Trolley, you have to say, okay, it's free from here to here, and in this direction, everybody pays when they get off, as opposed to paying when they get on.
Makes sense.
And that, yeah, I mean, when we first did it, it's like, this could be a good solution, but the drivers have always, they've not been that happy with it. And some of the riders either, so I think that would be a neat development. Yes, sir.
What's the fare going to be on the BRT?
Right now, same as other PSTA.
So all the passport and all the cards will get.
Flamingo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because in fact, by the time this gets going, we should have all kinds of new ways to pay. The Flamingo should have taken some nice leaps forward as well. So this is going to be something else. Cutting edge. Anything else? Yeah.
Are the stations going to be like the PSTA bus stops now, where they have like a roof and walls?
We haven't done that in final design yet. It would be nice to have, they're definitely going to be more modern. There may be some slight similarities, but we want this to stand out. It's got to be branded, like the buses. So it will probably be those on quite a bit of steroids, I hope. Because they've got to stand out. They've got to, and they're going to be nice. I mean, this thing's going to do some heavy lifting. So some of these things you see out there now aren't going to be big enough, aren't going to be good enough.
Would it stand out, like, by saying stand out something similar to like the Metro Rapid stations they have on Nebraska and Florida and Tampa? Those stations are big and they're
Probably.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you'd like to think nicer.
Yeah. I hope.
They will have a roof.
Well, it's going to be newer. It's something newer.
I was just thinking,
We're also doing, and I don't know if you've gotten that new pullouts for Clearwater Beach. We're looking at some very specialized designs there too. That's going to be exciting. Same thing. But yeah, and I'm anxious to see because we've got consultants working on that. I haven't even seen any conceptual designs for the stations. I'm really eager to see what they look like, because you can do anything. It's a blank slate. It's so cool. Yes, sir.
Do you know, I can't think of a place where I've seen this where people cross the Bat Lane and then there's like an island station. Do you know where else that is done?
San Francisco, Cleveland.
I think
Grand
Kansas has
Rapids.
it too. Kansas City has some.
Kansas City.
Yeah, I've used them before, and I can't even remember where I've used them. Actually, no, now I do it somewhere in Europe, but I know they are around the country. It's one of the ways.
Is there going to be some kind of wall? Wall so that when people get off, they don't walk into
just step in the
traffic.
Oh yeah, there will probably be a railing there, so they would get off. You just got to make sure it's ADA. But, so you're right, so that somebody doesn't get off and go straight in right to oncoming cars. Usually there's a railing on an island like that.
The trolley in Ybor has similar, a little smaller, I'm
Right,
sure,
yeah.
but they have those stations where you would exit on the other side, and there's a railing, a platform.
No, you're right. That we definitely have that. We've got some of our ADA bus stops that actually have that. It would be similar. When we had one on the beach, we took that. That's the one that first came to mind. We took that one out. You'd have that safety measure, absolutely.
You also have a couple of links. BRT downtown, Orlando.
Yeah.
Downtown.
Yeah, see, if we don't put that measure into those stops and that guy back in the corner, he enforces it.
He'll make sure.
He comes after us.
We've already come up with the idea of stained glass barriers to keep people from, so that way you have art.
Why not? I like it.
Yeah.
Well, you know, if that's, you know, when you can make something functional and look good,
Mm-hmm.
it also helps out FKQ and market, because then people take notice. If you're ever in the, running up down Gulf Boulevard, take a look in Indian Shores. Look at those shelters there. They look really great. You know, they're nothing but our old shelters, but they're painted white. They're powder coated white, but they really look great just because they were powder coated. And they've also got a nice design on them. But yeah, something like that can make, little things like that can make a difference. Anything else? Anyone?
What's the increase or decrease in time in transit then from downtown to the beaches?
What was that? I think it's 20% decrease in time end to end. At least those are the initial projections. Maybe more once we, and it could also depend on how much we can do with signal prioritization and how much we do and don't get as far as being able to move some of the bike lanes. But you're looking at limited stops, much fewer stops now, and then letting some of the other sort of Central Avenue trolley pick up the local transportation. Because as we all know, one of the biggest complaints is it takes so long to get somewhere on PSTA. I mean, for those of you on the 4 on the south end, sometimes that thing stops every 100 feet. It drives me nuts.
Mm-hmm.
So we are definitely doing what we can to avoid that and to take advantage of the limited stops. Anything else? All right. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Appreciate you giving me this time.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's the last item. So, the next issue is, we want to talk about future meeting subjects, but I also wanted to go through member comments too. So on future meeting subjects, on the backside, we have the appointment to the Forward Pinellas CAC. Did Forward Pinellas actually approve an individual from us?
No, they haven't.
Track, not yet?
Not yet.
Okay, not yet, okay. All right. We will be looking at the How to Ride Guide. Several of us were involved with the focus group on that. The Regional Feasibility Plan, Forward Pinellas Transfer Area Analysis, and Path Forward Strategic Plan and Agency Scorecard Project. Are the ones on the upcoming meetings. And now I'd like to just open up for any member comments. Does anyone have anything they want to cover?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So in the How to Ride Guide focus group today, I saw in there. So I take my 6-year-old on the bus a lot, and I've tried to get her a go card at the reduced fare, and I've always been told that there is none for children. And so I saw that on one's sheet that there is a $2.50 reduced fare. So is that something that I could get for my daughter?
Student IDs.
Well, she's 6, so she doesn't need an
Right,
ID.
well, I'm saying though, if they have a student ID, they can only pay $2.50. Grandson only pays $2.50. So I don't know why grade school kids should be able to get that also.
I thought it was 6 and under were free.
Right, she goes.
No, 5 and under.
Right.
Doesn't,
Is
There's-
it 5 and under?
Yeah, that's what, yes, 5 and under. That's what one sheet said today.
5 and
Since
under.
he's been in high school,
So if she's 6, then
student ID,
she's.
so he always had, he was.
She's an older.
Can't I just-
Young adolescent. She's a young adolescent.
But what should he do?
Right,
Experience. So
right.
she
Well,
has
I don't
to
think
do
that the,
Yeah, I was right there with him. He wasn't in grade school.
yes, so she would be a youth. She should qualify for the reduced 250 go card.
Okay.
You're saying that at the transit center they will give it to her without an ID?
yeah,
No.
she would need proof of identification for that. And it's unfortunate, but yeah.
Well, what's a proof ID for a 6-year-old?
Birth certificate.
Lunchbox from the school name on
Well, can't you just get a go-kart on the bus? I didn't go to any transit station to do this. I just asked the operator. I mean, I don't get go-karts anymore because I have a passport.
Oh,
But in
okay.
the past, I got a go-kart right on the bus, right? So I didn't have to go down to the transit center to get the go-kart.
Daily.
Yeah, a daily. Is it a daily? Now that I don't have, now that I have the passports. Okay. Yeah, it's just a daily I was looking for her.
Yeah. We thank you for alerting us. But we don't have a proper policy on youth.
Up to what age would that be, Brian?
Well, I guess, I don't know. I mean, it says youth.
Right.
And then
Seniors.
student is considered 18 and over is a student.
Okay.
So it'd be 6 to 18.
He used to get a reduced fare since he had when he went in high school, since he was 14, he got the reduced fare because he had a student ID, he could get a half price since he was 14. But when he was in grade school, once he was over 6, I had to pay
You paid the full price.
for a day pass.
Well, I think our policy, we'll have to look into this more in detail, but our policy should allow for a kid, even if they're not in high school yet, they do not have a student ID badge
Right.
between the ages of 6 and up to 18, or until they get an ID
So
badge
middle
in their
school, that's when they
school.
start getting IDs.
Yeah, they should be able to get the half price.
The bus driver doesn't know.
Thanks for bringing
The bus
that
drivers
up.
just need some way of, I don't know.
Get in the answer, correct answer.
Yeah.
I go to buy them and say, here, have one ready.
Thank
Swipe
you
it,
for-
have your
Right.
little climb on.
Yeah. Any other comments, any other questions, statements?
Did we save the 7?
They did.
We saved the 7.
Woohoo!
I haven't gotten any,
Aw.
I can't, I think we
Confirm or
saved the
deny it this
7.
time?
I think we have saved the 7.
I was in on a couple of conversations. I know that they had received the response and they seemed okay with what they had received. And I know a couple of commissioners had suggested that maybe there's some sort of adopt a shelter where art could be incorporated in lieu of the advertising. So that was at the work session. So I didn't know 100%. So that's awesome.
Thanks for bringing that
Yeah.
up.
At the May meeting, for future subjects, can we put on there, knowing what the June service changes are gonna be?
Any other questions, comments? Well, with that then, I will adjourn the meeting. Our next meeting will be on May 16th. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Fine, did you get the letter? Did you get a copy of the letter? I'll get you the letter.
I have friends.
I know.
Friends.
Friends in high places.
I have friends.
I thought I had.
She was on Bad News 9 again. You're so awesome. Yeah.
I'm there on usually Tuesdays, just not today. 'Cause
Yeah.
he's got a dog that.
No, because I'd like to come.
This is so crazy looking at like how she was.
Well, it requires,
How are you?
Yeah.
yeah, good job. That was really good.